The time is now 4:30. I will show that we are in session for the special meeting on March 26th. We are at the Jerry Rovey District Facility. Board members present are Chris Kenyon, Sarah Schmidt, Brian Cicerone, and myself. We'll go ahead and move on to 1.2, the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Cicerone, can you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to item 1.3, discussion/consideration to approve the issuance of remaining contract/work agreements for FY26. Dr. Mahorn.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice President, governing board members. I'd like to present to you the remaining contracts for issuance. The remaining groups are administration, instructional coaches, reading interventionists, psychologists, exempt support staff, and hourly support staff. And attached you have all the names and salaries, and again, it's current salaries with no raises attached.
Okay, we'll open it up for comments or questions. Mr. Kenyon?
No, I looked them all over, and I don't have any issues with them, and thank you for bringing these in so we can get these out to them.
Ms. Schmidt?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Cicerone?
No questions.
Okay, I have two questions. I noticed that Dr. Sloat, and I just want to say this has nothing to do with you personally, but, I noticed that he's on there for a 0.5, and, we all know that his position is grant funded, and, we're not sure from what we heard on Monday night about that. So, I'm just curious how we're going to proceed with that.
Vice President Zimmerman, members of the board, we do know now that we will have some project momentum monies in a grant. We don't know what that quantity will be, but in discussions with Dr. Sloat, the idea was to have our director of research, as he's getting near the end of his career, to spend part-time with us, with the hopes that we could bring on another Dr. Sloat that we could find next year. And I'm very optimistic we can pay him out of Project Momentum grants. We just don't have that balance quite yet. However, this year we were able to pay for Dr. Sloat's full-time salary in addition to other things. So I'm very confident that we'll be able to cover his part-time salary in addition to other things that will help even offset kind of some of our budget things. So he does a great job. We're really committed to him. I know that the board supports him and the staff respects him. And so we're committed to finding a way. And this morning, I remembered that Project Momentum communication that I had saying that our grant won't be discontinued. However, we don't know our balance yet.
Okay, did they give you an idea of when we could expect to know that information?
That was my question this morning. So I'll know hopefully sooner than later. Okay. So I know last year it was pretty late. I want to say it was like April, but hopefully they can get back to me and we'll know. But I think in my view, it would be easily enough to cover Dr. Sloat's part-time salary.
Okay. And I, would be thrilled to have Dr. Sloat back. So I really hope that grant comes in because I think he's incredibly valuable. So I'm happy to hear that we have some of that. The other thing I just kind of want as on record is that, for these administrative jobs, these job descriptions are going to have to be revised based on the cuts that were made. And so, I just want to be clear for those that we're offering a contract to that, those job descriptions are likely to change based on, the cuts that we had to make on Monday night. And I want our employees to have security, but, I'm hesitant as a board member because it's our job to approve those job descriptions and they're not current as they stand. So that's just.
Yes. Vice President Zimmerman, members of the board, our plan is to bring revised job descriptions at April 15th. As some jobs are being dissolved or aren't being filled, to make sure that those duties are covered. And so our plan is to bring those to the board on the 15th. There'll be multiple, and actually that work is starting kind of in a small committee tomorrow. We have that work starting as we dissect those job descriptions. So including communications director and some of the other jobs we've talked about. So there may be a slew, and we'll probably leave it in red or something so the board knows the additions so that we account for those things.
Okay. Thank you. If there aren't any other questions or comments, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the issuance of contracts/work agreements of remaining contracts/work agreements for school year 2025, 2026.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Kenyon.
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Svensioni.
Aye.
I'm going to be a nay, and I'd like to explain my vote, but it will show it passed 3-1. And I'm only a nay just because of the job descriptions. And as my responsibility as a board member, I feel like I needed those before I could approve the contracts for administrators. We'll go ahead and move on to 1.4, discussion/consideration to approve principal at Blue Horizons Elementary School for the 25-26 school year. Dr. Mahorn.
Madam Vice President, members of the board, community, it is recommended that the governing board approve the motion to recommend Mr. Brandon Valdez as the new principal at Blue Horizons Elementary. Principal interviews were held on January 29th. The committee consisted of teachers, parent, classified staff, instructional coach, and administrative personnel. Candidates participated in a screening interview process and then were selected for a committee interview. Administration is proud to recommend Mr. Brandon Valdez. Mr. Valdez is coming to Liberty Elementary School District with 5 years of administration experience. If approved, Mr. Valdez will receive a salary of $101,366. It is recommended that the governing board approve Mr. Brandon Valdez as the principal for Blue Horizons Elementary school year for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll open it up for questions or comments. Mr. Kenyon.
Yeah, I'm just glad. How many applicants did we have?
We had, I believe it was 8.
8. Okay, good. So that means people want to come work here, and I'm glad we were able to find Mr. Valdez. I love his resume. All right, thank you.
Ms. Schmidt.
Out of the 8 applicants, how many were interviewed?
That went to the final interview. We had 3 sign up for the final interview. 1 was a no-show, and so we ended up with 2.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Svensioni.
I have no different questions.
Okay. I have a couple questions. How many of the applicants met the full job requirements that the district posted, which included 3 years of principal experience?
3 years principal experience, 5.
Okay. And so through the screening process, so did you only interview people that had 3 years experience, 3 years as a principal experience?
For the full interview?
Yeah.
Correct.
They had 3 years as a principal.
3 full years as a principal? No. We only interviewed people that had principal experience, that they had to have at least principal experience. They didn't have to have 3 full years, but they had to have some principal experience to go through the full interview.
Okay. I just want you to know it has absolutely nothing to do with you. I'm just talking about policy right now. And the job description has recommended years of principal experience. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I want our vice principals to feel like they have the opportunity for succession in our district. And, we spent money on PD specifically for vice principals. And so if we have a requirement, that hasn't come before the board in that job description, that makes it very difficult. So I just, I had some very concerned teachers reach out to me. And so, to honor that, I think it's just important for that to be noted. But other than that, I don't have any further questions. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Brandon Valdez as the new principal at Blue Horizons Elementary School for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Kenyon.
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Svensioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 4-0. Welcome to Liberty.
Madam Vice President, board members, and the Liberty community. I'm super excited. I am deeply committed to education. I had my 2 kids come through Rainbow, and I also have my nieces and nephews at Rainbow Valley right now. So I'm deeply committed to this community, and I am honored to have this opportunity to serve it.
We're glad to have you, Brandon. We're very excited. The Blue community is going to be very excited. I think Mr. Naminsky is probably sending out the calendar invite right now for the staff to meet Mr. Valdez tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We're going to introduce him. He's going to spend the day at the campus getting to know the staff, and he is raring to go. And so I know a lot of the Blue teachers are going to be very satisfied, especially the ones on the committee. So I appreciate the board's support. We're excited. Welcome.
Welcome. Mr. Kenyon?
Yeah, just thank you for your interest in the district, and you've been around for a while. Even looking at your resume, you've been in the West Valley for just about ever, except for those couple years when the government stole you, and thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate that. And I look forward to what's going to happen in Blue. Thank you.
Ms. Schmidt?
I just want to say thank you for your interest in the position and clearly your commitment to the district, having family, your own children in it, and welcome.
Mr. Svensioni?
Oh yeah, just want to say welcome and glad you're here. Appreciate it.
I also want to say welcome, and I meant to say earlier that, you know, the committee spoke very highly of you, and the teachers and the parents that were on there reached out to me, and they're so excited. So we're so excited to have you here at Liberty, and I know you'll be a great addition to Blue.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item 1.5, discussion consideration to approve FY25 hourly support staff wage schedule. Dr. Mahorn.
Thank you. This one I'm going to turn over to Crystal.
Good evening, Vice President Zimmerman and members of the board. What we bring is some changes on the hourly support staff wage schedule. This is mainly due to the fact that we have some openings in the business services department. We've been unable to fill some positions in payroll. Those are very highly valuable positions that the district cannot operate without. So we've done the work to move those positions to a higher level. You've seen some of the summary information in the executive summary, and I know there's other things that you've seen in the board updates, so I stand ready to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Mosher. We'll go ahead to go to Mr. Kenyon.
Yeah, thank you for this, and administration for doing this. I saw that by doing this, it's actually going to save the district some money and getting away from contract stuff, having to hire out help for payroll. And so, you know, I always love where we can grow from within, we can elevate what we can. And I agree, this is a very important position that all staff in our whole district needs to know and rely on their pay. You know, It drives why they're here, part of the reason why they're here, but they have to go home and have a steady paycheck. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yeah, I'd like to echo some of what Mr. Kenyon said. It's always better to be able to hire someone and not have to contract things out, right? We know we spend so much more money when we're contracting things out. So moving things around in order to make it a more desirable position is going to help us in the long run. And yeah, we all know that payroll matters. And so having someone in there again that we know is our employee is a good thing. Thank you.
Mr. Svensioni.
Yeah, going third is going to be like a broken record. But it is important. I also don't like paying contractors, like to keep it in-house. And throughout this year, I know we've had issues because we, as a board, received a couple emails. So I know if we received a couple, there must have been a ton more out there that we never seen that with issues with payroll. So hopefully this fixes a lot of those issues.
I agree with my fellow board members. I think it's a critical position that we've seen struggle this year. And so, you know, I'm too anxious to have, you know, a qualified person in there. You know, I just, I added up like the levels, like at the lowest point. So, if they were to be placed on A, it's like $4.50 across the board more, but we're saving 3 hours a day with just the general payroll specialist, correct?
That's correct. So the
Okay.
proposal is moving one of the positions to more of a part-time role, 7 hours per day, 4 days a week. So that's how it's a savings, but that doesn't include the amount that we're actually saving by getting rid of the consultant as well. So that I didn't include that because it's not something we normally do.
Okay, and even with that jump in like the 450 across these 3 positions, it's still that savings because we're losing 3 hours a day.
Correct.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, we'll call for a motion. I apologize.
Motion to approve the FY25 hourly support staff wage schedule effective March 27, 2025.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Kenyon,
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt,
Aye.
Mr. Swensioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 4-0. Okay, we'll move on to item 2.1. We will adjourn the special meeting at 4:46.